You're watching Major League Baseball's virtual network. Welcome to Wrigley Field. My name's Nicholas Callis. An NL Central matchup coming up between the Milwaukee Brewers and the Chicago Cubs. The Cubs have been hot recently while the Brewers are trying to get back in contention for the NL Central title. This game coming up right now. Here's Jharel Cotton. He's on the mound starting for the Cubs and has done well since getting called up. 6-0 in 8 starts and has an earned run average of 277. He's in the rotation because John Lester got hurt about a month ago. Lester still will be on the injured list for 23 more days. But seeming as Cotton has done so well, I don't think Cotton's going to leave the rotation when Lester comes back. Anyway, here's Eric Sogard leading off the ball game. Leadoff hitter of the Brewers takes strike one. Sogard, a .268 hitter entering play. Also the Cubs, 43-41, second in the NL Central. It's been quite a long time since any team besides the Cardinals has had a winning percentage over 500 in the NL Central, but the Cubs have been hot recently. Counts 1-1. The Cubs last week, in 6 games they played, they won 5 of them, including a big series sweep against the Reds. A 3-game series sweep. Counts 2-1. So over their last 3 series, they swept the Red Sox last weekend. They swept the Reds, won 2 of 3 against the Yankees this weekend. And now are starting a series with the Brewers. This is game 1. Counts even 2-2. Two-ball, two-strike pitch on Sogard. Popped into the air out toward left center field. Catch made by Ian Happ. And a flyout starts this ball game, and with that, we'll take a look at the starting lineup for the Brewers. Almost the same lineup as last year, minus a couple new additions. Justin Smoke batting 6th, playing first base, and Omar Narvaez signed in the offseason. He's batting 7th and playing catcher. One out top of the first. Here's Lorenzo Cain, Gold Glove center fielder, as he fouls that first pitch off. Also a decent contact hitter, still runs well. Former World Series champion as well with the Kansas City Royals. Was a part of their 2 pretty good teams. Or pretty good's an understatement. They were very good teams in 2014 and 2015. The Royals lost in 2014 but won it in 2015, and Kane was the center fielder on that champion team. 1-ball, 1-strike pitch coming from Cotton. That's hit out toward right field and softly hit. Diving attempt, but it gets past Steven Souza Jr. Kane can run. He's rounding second. The ball hasn't even come in yet, and Kane will make his way into third as the ball's cut off. 1-out triple for Lorenzo Cain, his 3rd triple of the season. That wasn't even a bad pitch. It broke toward the outside, and it was a strike. But Kane did well to take it the other way, and although it was a decent effort by Steven Souza Jr. to dive for it, the risk did not pay off. And now here comes a guy who knows how to produce runs. It's Christian Yelich. .337 average with 20 home runs, and those 66 RBIs are good for 2nd among National League hitters this season. Too high, counts 1-0. And while being 2nd in the National League, Yelich has the most RBIs on the Brewers. 1-ball, no-strike pitch. That's fouled off. Counts even 1-1. Christian Yelich, a former most valuable player in the National League, won it with the Brewers in 2018 in his first full season with them. He's playing in year 3 now with the Brew Crew as he fouls that pitch off. Yelich made his debut with the Miami Marlins in 2013. Played well there, but had his breakout year with the Brewers. Went from a decent defender and a solid contact hitter to a power hitter, a run producer, and a constant middle-of-the-order bat. 2-ball, 2-strike pitch coming to Yelich with Kane on third base. That misses inside, counts full 3-2. Sogard led off with a fly out to center, then Kane tripled. Now here's Yelich at the plate with a full count. And 1 out in the top of the first. Check swing, but the home plate umpire says it was a committed swing. So Yelich strikes out. That puts out number 2 on the board for Cotton. That'll bring up another former MVP in the National League. It's Ryan Braun. 291 hitter entering play. Former most valuable player from the 2011 season. Also with the Brewers. He's been a lifetime Brewer. Started out as a third baseman, but adjusted to the outfield a few seasons later. Had his rookie season in 2007. Counts 2-0. That misses inside, and Braun well ahead in the count. It's 3 balls and no strikes. Too high, and it's a 4-pitch walk to Ryan Braun with 2 outs.
The second baseman.
So with that, Keston Hiura will come to the plate. 348 hitter with 9 home runs and 25 RBIs. Missed most of April and the beginning of May with an injury, but ever since he's come back, he's been producing well, consistently batting in the middle of the order. Hiura, a former first-round draft pick of the Brewers in 2017, made his debut last season. And so far has been good as advertised. Ripped on the ground. That's a fair ball off of Rizzo. But Rizzo rebounds well, able to make the play himself. That ends the top of the first inning. No runs on 1 hit, 1 walk in the inning, and 2 runners left on base for the Brewers after a half inning. It's the Brewers 0 and the Cubs coming to bat. Starting on the mound for the Brewers is Brett Anderson. 6-5 in 16 starts. ERA of 4.57. He's pitched 88 2/3 innings. Also has the least amount of strikeouts among American League pitchers with 20. Or among National League pitchers with 20, excuse me.
Leading off for the Cubs.
Here comes Chris Bryant to the plate, leadoff hitter for the Cubs. Well, we already talked about Yelich and Braun being former MVP award winners, but Bryant also qualifies in that category. Was the most valuable player of the 2016 season.
Nope, at the ball.
First pitch misses down low. The Brewers third in the NL Central, 39-43 entering play. At the end of April, they were toward the top of the NL Central, but May and most of June were dominated by the Cardinals, who reside in first place. The Cubs have since passed the Brewers for second place, so this is a battle of the number 2 Cubs against the number 3 Brewers. On the ground, into the shift. That's Hiura playing it around the shortstop position, throws to smoke. And a quick out of Bryant begins at the bottom of the first inning. With that, we'll take a look at the starting lineup for the Cubs. Steven Souza Jr., a free agent, signing by the Cubs. He's batting 5th in the order and playing right field. Also, Victor Caratini doing the catching and batting 7th. He's replacing Wilson Contreras. Contreras is on the injured list for another 48 days, had a hand issue.
Ball 1.
That pitch misses low to Anthony Rizzo. The count's 1-0. I forget actually if Contreras, if he had a hand injury or if it was some kind of leg injury. I think he broke his shin now that I think about it, but I'll get you an answer for that as the Rizzo at bat goes on, but the count's 1-1. One ball, 1 strike count. It's inside, counts 2-1. Anthony Rizzo been with the Cubs ever since 2012, but made his debut with the San Diego Padres in 2011. Had a short stint there, but of course he broke out with the Cubs. But a consistent run-producing bat for them over the years. But this year his average has taken a toll. He's batting .251 entering play. Three ball, two strike pitch. High and outside, that's ball four. A one-out walk issued to Anthony Rizzo. So both teams have had a base runner in the first inning. And with that, Javier Baez will come to the plate. Baez, a .282 hitter entering play. And you see his May versus June splits. Had a great month of May, but has struggled in the month of April, which has dragged his average below 300. But entering play, he also has 8 home runs and 38 RBIs. Producing at a decent rate, not quite an elite rate, but still batting in the middle of the order, and
off the plate, ball one.
Still a long season to go. Baez does have the highest average on the Cubs, though. That .282 average. 1 ball, no strike count. The pitch from Anderson. On the ground right side, that's a base hit. First for the Cubs in this game. And Yelich will get that in quickly, so Rizzo advances only to second base, and Baez is on first. So 1 out, bottom of the first inning. 2 runners on for the notorious run producer Kyle Schwarber. .271 hitter with 11 home runs and 39 RBIs entering play. He's also gone 7 for 19 over his last 4 games. And of those 4 games, the Cubs won 3 of them. It's outside, counts 1-0. Ripped to right field. Oh my gosh! He hit that over the scoreboard! Oh my! I think I saw that ball go over the scoreboard, but we'll see in the replay. That was a 432-foot blast to right. Oh my goodness. It's 3-0 Cubs. Here's Steven Souza Jr. That's ball 1. Steven Souza Jr., former Washington National, Tampa Bay Ray, and Arizona Diamondback, signed with the Cubs in free agency, and he's been a platoon right fielder with Jason Hayward. It's more of an offensive move for the Cubs because Hayward has struggled offensively in recent years. So Hayward starts when there's a right-handed starter on the mound, and Souza Jr. starts when there's a left-handed starter on the mound. Anderson down early, though, after giving up a 3-run home run to Kyle Schwarber just a moment ago. That ball's fouled off. 1 ball, 2 strike count. That's ripped out to right center field. No one's going to get that. It's going to split the gap and one hop the wall up against the ivy. Souza Jr. on his way to second, and back-to-back hits for the Cubs here in the bottom of the first inning. Bryant grounded out to second to start this half inning. Then Rizzo walked, Baez singled, Schwarber hit a 3-run homer. Now Souza Jr. on second. After getting an extra base hit, now here's Ian Happ, switch hitter batting from the right side. Also, to clarify Wilson Contreras' injury, it was more of a leg injury, but it wasn't either of the two that I said before. He suffered with damaged knee cartilage. That was back on June the 16th, so he's still on the injured list, but that's why Victor Caratini is the starting catcher. One ball, 1 strike count on Happ. Outside counts 2-1. Happ, a versatile player, also drafted by the Cubs. Made his debut a few years ago. He's been around for a while, though. Hasn't had too many starting opportunities up until this season, but now consistently playing center field over Albert Almora Jr. But Happ, versatile, can play most positions, outfield and infield. Outside counts full 3-2. Anderson continuing to struggle in this bottom of the first inning. Over 20 pitches. Swing and a miss. Placed that pitch well, and Happ couldn't get around on it. That's out number 2 in the bottom of the first. With that, the number 7 hitter, Victor Caratini, will come to the plate. I already mentioned why he's in the starting lineup over Wilson Contreras. Contreras on the injured list. Caratini ground ball, left side, played by Arcia. Throws to Smoke. That ends the first inning. But the Cubs on the board early after getting a walk and a single. This 3-run home run was hit by Kyle Schwarber, and a majestic, beautiful blast this one was, deep out to right field. 3-0 Cubs after one full inning. Top of the second rolling around. 6, 7, 8 hitters due up for the Brewers in this half inning. Justin Smoke, Omar Narvaez, and Orlando Arcia. Smoke, a former Seattle Mariner and Toronto Blue Jay, now playing for the Brewers. He's also a switch hitter, batting from the left side in this plate appearance. Smoke, also a former All-Star in the American League when he played for the Blue Jays. He was a 2017 All-Star. Good veteran presence and adds a bit more power to this Brewers lineup. The offense hasn't been too much of a problem for the Brewers this season, but the pitching, if anything, has been the letdown. The reason why they haven't been playing as well as they could. One ball, 2 strike count. Strike 3 caught over the outside edge. Wow. Smoke giving it to the home plate umpire. Didn't get the thumb. Definitely could have with a flagrant act like that. Well-placed pitch by Jarrell Cotton. So 1 out, top of the second. Here's Omar Narvaez, former Chicago White Sox and Seattle Mariner. Signed with the Brewers this offseason and is a platoon catcher with Manny Pena. Narvaez, being the left-handed hitter, typically starts when there's a right-handed pitcher on the mound. Hey, Eric, what's up? Glad you're watching us today. Especially because both of these teams will impact the Cardinals in some way. It's a pop out by Omar Narvaez. That's out number 2 in the top of the second inning.
The shortstop, Orlando Arcia.
So that'll bring up Orlando Arcia, the shortstop of the Brewers, and the number 8 hitter in the order. 213 hitter with 6 home runs and 30 RBIs entering play. Takes ball 1 outside. Arcia, most known for his defense. Hasn't really been a consistent hitter since he's been with the Brewers in the major leagues. Outside counts 2-0. Jarrell Cotton, through these first 2 innings, has been working that outside edge. He's gotten a call on some pitches, but didn't get the call on those last couple. Now tries to go in, and that misses. Counts 3-0. Three ball, no strike pitch. Too high and inside. That's ball 4. So a 2-out walk issued by Cotton. That'll bring up the number 9 spot and the pitcher in the order, Brett Anderson. Has a couple hits this season, not completely useless with a bat in his hands. That's fouled off. The count's 0-1. Speaking of the 60-game season, and I'll get to my thoughts in next inning. But there was some news that broke just before this game started. And we're talking real baseball, not virtual baseball. But Mike Leake of the Diamondbacks has declined to participate in the 2020 season, which was the first reported news of any player declining to play in the 2020 season. Anderson on base. With a 2-out single, that moves Arcia to second. So first and second for the Brewers. With 2 outs, and that'll bring the top of the order back up. Eric Sogard coming to the plate. But Mike Leake, the first Major League player to refuse to play in 2020, declines his option to play. We'll see what kind of rollover effect that has, but usually when one player is brave enough to do something like that, some others might trickle in. No ball, 1 strike count. High strike, counts 0-2 on Sogard. Sogard has driven in 6 runs over his last 8 games. Or over the Brewers' last 8 games, I should say. Too far inside, counts 1-2. The Brewers left 2 on in the first inning. Another 2 on here in the second. That pitch misses inside, counts 2-2. Cotton working up to 40 pitches now. Not quite at 2 full innings yet. 2 ball, 2 strike pitch. Soft liner. Played on the backhand by Baez. Flips to Descalzo covering second. Anderson out at second. And Cotton escapes danger again. The top of the second inning is over. No runs on no hits. No, I lied. No runs on 1 hit, 1 walk in the inning. 2 runners left on base. And as we come to the bottom of the second inning, the Cubs lead it 3-0. 8-9 hitters due up for them this half inning. Daniel Descalzo, Terrell Cotton, and then back to the top for Chris Bryant. But my thoughts on a 60-game season. I think any baseball is better than no baseball when it comes to fans' perspective. However, I've heard reports that there's a spike in COVID-19, which may or may not have any implications or any impact from sports being played. I'd like to see real baseball again in any capacity, but I also am concerned about the safety of the players or how they're going to work with traveling or where they're going to hold all this, because I know all those details haven't been finalized yet. So it just seems, I just look at it as it's an uncertain idea right now. But if it comes back and everybody can be safe, I'm totally fine with that. It would be nice to see sports again. 3 ball, 2 strike count on Descalzo. On the ground and foul, the count's still full, 3-2. Down low, that's ball 4. Brett Anderson issues a leadoff walk. That'll bring up Terrell Cotton to the plate in what will most likely be a sacrifice situation. Anderson faced 7 hitters in the first inning. Gave up 3 runs. Now lets the leadoff runner on base via the free pass. And Cotton shows bunt. And he gets it down the first base line, but in foul territory, the count's 0-1. Another bunt. But a pullback, counts 1-1. Anderson getting up to 35 pitches now. Just entering this second inning of work. Tried to bunt that one, but he missed it. Now the count's 1-2. Descalso on first. He walked to open up this half inning. Another bunt shown. Down the first base line. That hugs and stays fair. Smoke tries to go to second. They get the out at second. Cotton beats out the back end, but Descalso is out at second base. Let's watch this again. If Smoke's not left-handed, I don't know if they try to make this play at second, but Smoke doesn't need to turn or pivot. Has a direct line to second base, which works out for them. The Brewers get the lead runner. So Cotton now on first with one out, and here comes the leadoff hitter in the Cubs order, Chris Bryant. Bryant grounded out to Hira at second his first time up. It's inside, counts 1-0. Yeah, I think that idea about cutting down on travel by playing regional divisions rather than league teams, I think that's a decent idea. But I just know that nothing has been finalized yet. That idea has been thrown around a couple places. Sogard, Hira to Smoke, but Bryant beats out the back end. So no double play, and this inning extended a bit further with Bryant beating out the throw to first. So Cotton out at second, 2 outs bottom of the second. And here comes Anthony Rizzo. Rizzo, no official at-bats in this one, but in one plate appearance, he reached once, which was on a walk. It was just last inning. It's a strike over the outside edge. The count's 0-1. Rizzo has 11 RBIs over the last 10 games that the Cubs have played in. Like I mentioned before, the Cubs have been hot recently.
1 ball, 1 strike.
The Cubs have made their way back into NL Central divisional contention. The Cardinals are 48-36 in first place, and the Cubs are 43-41 in second place, 5 games back.
We got 2 balls, 1
Counts
strike.
2-1. Swing and a miss. Count is even, 2 balls and 2 strikes. That's top foul, so this plate appearance will continue. Counts even, 2-2 on Rizzo. That's fouled off. The count still 2-2. Yeah, the universal DH, though that hasn't been finalized, that probably will happen. Just to limit pitchers from working too hard and promoting offense, keeping everybody healthy. That's fine by me. That's a fly out by Rizzo. That's a Ryan Braun in left. The Cubs fail to score in the bottom of the second inning. And as we go to the third, it's the Cubs 3 and the Brewers 0. You're watching Major League Baseball's virtual network, brought to you by MLB The Show 20. I'm Nicholas Callis. Coming into this third inning, the Brewers will send up their 2-3-4 hitters to the plate. Lorenzo Cain, Christian Yelich, and Ryan Braun.
Counts 1-0.
Counts 1-0 to the former Gold Glove Award winner for center fielders and former World Series champion as well.
Nope.
Cain was a part of the Brewers team in 2018 that
No strike.
almost made it to the World Series. Took the Dodgers to 7 games in the championship series, but lost. Although it's hard to argue that any team could have beat the Red Sox in the 2018 World Series. Two ball, 1 strike count. The count's even out, 2 balls and 2 strikes on Cain. Outside counts full 3-2. I can't say that for certain that the DH will stay after this is all, done with. And like I mentioned before, we've had this discussion about the universal DH before and what I think about it. As Kane gets himself on base, his second hit is a single. But I've heard this argument before, and I agree with it, that if you have a universal DH among both leagues, then what's the point of having two different leagues? It creates that differential between American and National League. You have an American League team that, when applied by its rules, there's a DH involved, a designated hitter. If you have a National League team that hosts, then the rules apply that there is no DH. And I think that's like a good brand for baseball. It makes the leagues unique, and it creates an element in the game that other sports don't have.
Oh, that's out.
And I've heard several managers go on record, those like Joe Madden, for example, who have managed in the American League versus the National League, and he's made the claim that managing in the National League is more work and it's not as easy, which is good for managers because managers have to decide if a pinch hitter is necessary and how to maneuver the order around with double switches or so to make the defense align with whoever's pitching and move the order around in such a way. There's just so many facets when it comes to moving pitchers around and yeah, I lost my train of thought, but I hope you get what I'm saying when it comes to that. 3-2 pitch, that's fouled off, count still full 3-2. But yeah, there's so many facets when it comes to managing pitchers in a lineup that make the game a bit more interesting. And at least that's my opinion. I also know that there could be a counter argument that taking all that time to make double switches and bring in new pitchers and have players pinch hit is a waste of time and it doesn't quicken up the game, which is a fair point for those who want baseball to be sped up. I'm just impartial to how long baseball is. I enjoy it no matter what. Look at that diving catch by Ian Happ. Christian Yelich just got robbed. Ian Happ with full extension out in center field. Look at that play, full extension. Landed hard on the ground, but got up quickly. Good thing he's okay. So one out, top of the third. Here's Ryan Braun. Reached base once on a walk back in the first inning. No official at-bats in the game so far. Yeah, and Eric, that's a valid opinion as well. The DH, in theory, does take strategy out of the game of baseball. At least immediately, because
Inside, ball one.
well, for all the reasons I mentioned before, there's so many strategical variables that can take place when you have a pitcher batting and when you manage a team accordingly. So I agree with you in that sense, but I do know that there are a few arguments that are also valid on the other side for why the DH should still be in place in the American League. And if I had to pick a side, I would lean more toward keeping the DH in the American League and not using it at all in the National League, because just for the plain reason that it differentiates the leagues and it makes it varied a bit between both. Counts even 2 balls and 2 strikes. Also, for anybody watching right now, feel free to join in the live chat as well and give your thoughts about anything baseball related, whether it's the two teams that are playing right now, whether it's real-life baseball scenarios. Start a chat with other people, or you can ask me questions directly about what I think, or anything else baseball related for that matter. Caught with 3 strikeouts now. Ryan Braun just swung and missed at that pitch. Take a look at it again. That's out number 2. Kane started this inning with a single, then Yelich got robbed of a hit by Ian Happ out in center. Braun just struck out. Now here's Keston Hiura. First pitch swinging. He hits that out to center field. Ian Happ makes the catch, and the top of the 3rd inning is over. No runs on a hit and one left on for the Brewers after 2.5 innings. The Cubs lead it 3-0. You're watching Major League Baseball's virtual network, and here comes Heidi Watney. All right, thanks, Heidi. We appreciate that. As we come into the bottom of the third inning, the Cubs will have their 3, 4, 5 hitters come to the plate. Javier Baez, Kyle Schwarber, and then Steven Souza Jr. Baez singled in his first at bat off Anderson, and his 89 hits are good for first among Cubs players. The Cubs took the lead immediately in the first inning after Rizzo walked, then Baez singled, and Schwarber hit a 3-run home run. Counts 1-1. And staying on the DH subject, though there are some pitchers that can hit, many of them, like Bumgarner, is a very isolated example of that. But even though Bumgarner can hit, I see where you could still keep the strategy of baseball in, because Bumgarner's only as good in the lineup as long as he can pitch. But once he's tired, you take him out. And there's more strategy involved with managing bullpen arms when it comes to offense and how long a bullpen arm can stay on the mound and pitch well. There's so many arguments on both sides, and it's really a fascinating subject in sports, DH versus no DH. There's so many different scenarios and variables that, both sides have some good points when it comes to whether it should stay around or not. But I think the happy medium in all this is just not making a universal rule, keeping it American League DH and National League not. Some ways it can make everybody happy, unless your team's not a part of the rules that you want it to be on. But 2-0 pitch, Kyle Schwarber takes, counts 3-0. Schwarber hit a 3-run home run in his first at bat, which has been the only run scored by either side to this point. That's strike one. 3-0 breaking ball thrown by Anderson. Here comes the 3-1. Check swing, the appeal. No swing, that's ball 4. Kyle Schwarber reaches on a 1-out walk.
The right fielder, number 21.
Will you be the judge? That was ruled a no swing. 1-out runner on first. Here's Steven Souza Jr. He doubled in his first at bat off of Brett Anderson. Swing and a miss, counts 0-1. Steven Souza Jr., one of his most notable career moments was making the diving catch that preserved Jordan Zimmerman's no-hitter back when both of them were on the Nationals. Out towards center field, there's Lorenzo Cain running after it. He's able to make the catch. Schwarber will retreat back to first as that ball is thrown in. So now there are 2 outs on the bottom of the third inning. And that'll bring up Ian Happ to the plate. Happ is 0 for 1. He struck out back in the first inning. .231 hitter with 11 home runs and 32 RBIs, and that average includes his first at bat. Don't forget you're watching Major League Baseball's virtual network. This game brought to you by MLB The Show 20, and I'm Nicholas Callis. This is something we do consistently on this network, is provide live commentary. As that's ripped foul, the count is 0-2. Just a way to keep things in perspective and not get too generic. On the ground and foul, the count's still 0-2. Happ a switch hitter batting from the right side. And Anderson has gone over 60 pitches now. On the ground left side, there's Arcia, but he bobbles the ball. Tries to recover, but can't do it in time. Happ safe at first, and Schwarber moves from first to second. Watch this again. Arcia, pretty solid defender. Looked like he was trying to field that nonchalantly. And it got away from him. Here comes the number 7 hitter, Victor Caratini. Caratini grounded out in his first at-bat. So the two rostered catchers now for the Cubs are Victor Caratini and Miguel Amaya. Amaya got caught up and immediately was the starting catcher, but he got kind of cold. So he's been on the bench. And Caratini's been the starter for the past few days. 1-0's a strike, counts 1-1. Yeah, speaking to that comment, Eric, about the Brewers, there's something I mentioned earlier, that the Brewers have struggled with their pitching staff. Now, the back end's pretty solid with Corey Knebel and Josh Hader, but their starting rotation hasn't been elite, which has caused their struggles. Not only last year, but starting this year as well. That's headed toward the wall. That's off the wall. 1 run in. Happ coming around to score from first. Victor Caratini hit a 2-out double. A 2-out, 2-run double at that. It's now 5-0 Cubs. Anderson left that pitch up in the zone, and if that weren't hit out to dead center, that might have been a home run. But the next best thing, 2 runs scored for the Cubs. And here comes Craig Counsell out of the bullpen. Or excuse me, Craig Counsell coming out of the dugout to bring somebody in from the bullpen. Anderson can't finish the third inning. He goes 2 2/3 innings. And despite giving up 2 runs in this inning, he only gave up 3 earned runs overall.
Your attention, please. Now,
with that, Corbin Burns will come into pitch. He is the long relief pitcher of the Brewers, and he's been taxed this season. Seems he comes in frequently. 58 1/3 innings pitched in 40 games appeared in. This is his 41st appearance of the season and has 4 decisions. Here comes Daniel Descalzo. He walked last inning. And he flies that pitch toward left. Ryan Braun there makes the catch. And that ends the third inning. So the Cubs get 2 runs, both of which were unearned to Anderson. And 1 runner left on base. After 3 full innings, the Cubs lead the Brewers 5-0. You're watching Major League Baseball's virtual network, brought to you by MLB The Show 20. I'm Nicholas Callis. As the Brewers come to bat in the top of the 4th, you'll see their 6, 7, 8 hitters, Justin Smoke, Omar Narvaez, and Orlando Arcia. Terrell Cotton still on the mound. No runs given up through the first 3 innings. Though in the first and second inning, he had to escape trouble. 2 runners are on base each time. Oh, 1's a strike, counts 0-2. Smoke struck out in his first at bat. Switch hitter batting from the left side. Top foul, the count still 0-2. And again, you're watching Major League Baseball's virtual network. If you like our content, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel to get notifications on when we go live and when we upload videos. You can also follow our Twitter page at VirtualMLB is the handle, where you'll get not only the YouTube videos that we also post to Twitter, but you'll get injury updates, transaction updates, trade updates, everything you need to follow baseball on this network. Smoke strikes out again. That's number 4 for Cotton on the day. And with 1 out, Omar Narvaez will come to the plate. But also, if you're trying to follow this network, you're trying to follow all the teams that are playing, you should check out our videos on results and standings updates, where there's a whole section for it specifically on the homepage of our Twitter channel. Navarro's out to left and foul. The count's 0-1, but we cover all the games that were played during the day, so all the final scores for every game played throughout any given day. We update you on standings at the end of every given day and the league leaders so you can stay up to date with who the best players are in both the American and the National League. But 3 guaranteed games a day on Major League Baseball's virtual network in an effort to make sure that every team in Major League Baseball is featured at least once a week. And another note, we are covering the Home Run Derby and the All-Star Game on this channel, so you can look forward to that. In a couple weeks, the All-Star break's coming up.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
Counts 1-2. There will be a full announcement on that the Sunday before the Home Run Derby on who will be participating in the Home Run Derby. And then the All-Star rosters will be posted as well, not on YouTube. Or no, we'll post them on YouTube, but we'll also post them to Twitter, so make sure you check both, just in case something goes wrong where we don't post one or the other. Check both Twitter and YouTube for news on the All-Star Game and the Home Run Derby. Outside, just a bit, counts full 3-2. Full count pitch coming from Cotton to Navarez. On the ground left side, there's Baez at short. Throws to Rizzo, that's out number 2. Cotton over 70 pitches now, but still throwing a shutout. Orlando Arcia will come to the plate with 2 outs in the top of the 4th inning. Arcia, no official at bat. He walked back in the 2nd inning. It's inside, counts 1-0. Arcia was an international free agent signing out of Venezuela. He's played the majority of his professional career with the Brewers. On the ground right side, there's Daniel Descalzo. Throws to Anthony Rizzo, and that ends at the top of the 4th. No runs, no hits, and nobody left on for the Brewers after 3.5 innings. It's the Cubs 5, and the Brewers 0. You're watching Major League Baseball's virtual network, brought to you by MLB The Show 20. I'm Nicholas Callis. 9-1-2 hitters due up in the Cubs' order to begin this half inning. Jarrell Cotton, Chris Bryant, and Anthony Rizzo. Cotton 0 for 1, tried to lay down a sacrifice bunt, but ended up reaching just on a fielder's choice because the Brewers got the out at second. Cotton on 1 pitch flies out to Lorenzo Cain. That's the first out of the bottom of the 4th inning, and here comes the top of the order back up, Chris Bryant to bat. Bryant's 0 for 2. Couple ground outs so far on his line score. Corbin Burns, since coming out of the bullpen, has thrown 2 pitches, now 3. He got 2 1-pitch outs. Got the final out of the bottom of the 3rd, and got a first pitch out in the bottom of the 4th. Swing and a miss, counts even at 1-1. Chris Bryant made his Major League debut in 2015, also won Rookie of the Year in the National League. And the very next season won the Most Valuable Player Award in the National League. And he's on base with his first hit. A 1-out single, straight up the middle. Not a bad pitch, but Bryant went down to get it. Squared it up, hit it into center. Now he's at first, with Anthony Rizzo coming to the plate. Rizzo's 0 for 1, but he walked in his first plate appearance. Later came around to score on the Kyle Schwarber 3-run home run back in the 1st inning. The Cubs up 5-0. Runner goes as that's hit out to left. That's a base hit. Well-executed play there. Arcia went to cover second base, so even if he would have had a play on the line drive, he couldn't make it because he was covering second. And with that hit, Rizzo now at an 11-game hitting streak, and the play that works out for the Cubs. Bryant went to steal second. Arcia went over to cover second base, which left the left side open, and Rizzo took it the other way. Now here's Javier Baez. He's 1 for 2. Singled and scored a run back in the first inning. The Cubs got 3 runs in the first inning on a Kyle Schwarber 3-run home run. Then they scored 2 in the 5th. Or not 2 in the 5th. They got 2 in the 3rd inning after Orlando Arcia made an error that allowed Ian Happ to reach base. That moved Schwarber to second, and then Victor Caratini hit a 2-out double. That scored both runners on base. Catch made out in right field, and well thrown by Christian Yelich.
Now back, the left fielder, Kyle.
That keeps Bryant at second base with 2 outs, and that'll bring up Kyle Schwarber. Back in the first inning was the same scenario for him, runners on first and second. And he went deep to give the Cubs an early lead, a lead which they have built upon since that at bat. Schwarber's .273 average is good for second on the Cubs behind Javier Baez. Check swing, but the home plate umpire says he won around. The count's even at 1. Outside the zone, counts 2-1. 2 outs, 2 on, 2-1 count, bottom of the 4th. Cubs lead at 5-0. This is an NL Central matchup. Ripped out to right field. Back goes Yelich. That ball is gone. Deja vu. Kyle Schwarber's second home run of the game is another 3-run home run. It's now 8-0. The Cubs lead it. Well, same situation, same location, out to right field. The only difference is the inning and the pitcher on the mound. Now Souza Jr. out to left on the first pitch he sees in this plate appearance, and Braun able to make the catch. So that ends the 4th inning. The Cubs get 3 more runs on a Kyle Schwarber 3-run home run, his second 3-run home run of the game, and after 4 full innings, the Cubs lead at 8-0. You're watching Major League Baseball's virtual network, brought to you by MLB The Show 20. Heidi Watney giving us some insight from her own head, but we can't hear it because she's not talking. What a shame.
Your attention, please.
But as we move into the 5th inning,
Number 24.
the Brewers will have their 9-1-2 hitters come to the plate. And Avisaíl Garcia will be the leadoff hitter in the pitcher spot. Corbin Burns out of the game, gave up 3 earned runs, and pitched an inning in the 3rd out of the bullpen. Garcia, a .280 hitter with 4 home runs and 20 RBIs, been a consistent pinch hitter this season. Though he was signed in free agency, he hasn't played much on the defensive side. Had a breakout year last year with the Rays as well, and the Brewers gobbled him up, but the Brewers have a depth issue now with Braun playing left, Kane in center, and Yelich in right. And there have been some talks about moving Braun to first base, but the Brewers also went out and signed 3 different first basemen: Justin Smoak, Ryan Healy, and Jed Jorko. That's out to right field. Steven Souza Jr. there. He makes the catch. So obviously, Garcia pinch hits and flies out. And with that, the top of the order will come back up for the Brewers. It's Eric Sogard, who's 0 for 2 out of the leadoff spot. With his 0 for 2 in this game, his average has fallen to .266, and his on-base percentage below .350. Now it's .349. That's hit well out to right field. Back goes Souza Jr. That's going to one-hop the wall. Souza Jr. plays it, gets it in quickly, but Sogard not prevented from getting extra bases.
The center fielder,
He's on with a one-out double.
Lorenzo Cain.
Well, the corners in Wrigley Field are deep. Even a little deeper than center field. They've got some notches out there, so this one not able to clear the wall in right field, but a deep hit, a well-struck hit. And an extra base hit at that. Now here's Lorenzo Cain, who's 2 for 2. Has tripled and singled in this game. So his offensive efforts have been in vain to this point. His team trailing by 8. No ball, 1 strike count on Cain. Went up the ladder, count is 0-2. That last pitch, 93 miles per hour from Cotton, and he's up to 80 pitches now on his pitch count. Outside counts 1-2. Cotton, a former Oakland Athletic, didn't play much there, but was acquired by the Cubs recently. And because of an injury to John Lester, he's been a consistent member of the rotation, and so far, he's done well this season. One-two pitch. Another high fastball. That one fouled off by Cain. The count's still 1-2.
Ball 2.
Another pitch too high. Good discipline from Cain, and the count even now. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Sogard on second. He just doubled. 2-2 pitch. Ripped toward left field. That's going to be a diving catch. Kyle Schwarber out in left field with a great catch. Cain robbed of his 3rd hit of the game.
Now batting, right fielder, Christian.
The second outstanding play by an outfielder in this game. Happ made a pretty good catch out in center field, a diving catch earlier on, and Schwarber just made that play. Out and left. 2 outs, top of the 5th. Here's Yelich. Runner on second base. That pitch misses inside. Yelich was the other victim of robbery. He had a ball at the left center field that Ian Happ ran down and dove for to make a catch. Yelich pops that pitch up left side. Chris Bryant calling off everybody else. He makes the catch. Top of the 5th inning is over. We're about halfway through this one at Wrigley Field, an NL Central matchup that is being dominated right now by the Cubs. It's 8-0 going to the bottom of the 5th.
Ladies and gentlemen, your
New pitcher coming in for the Brewers. It's J.P. Fireeisen.
Number 76.
Fireeisen was April's Rookie of the Month in the National League, but May didn't treat him too well, and June
Leading off for the Cubs.
not too great either. His stats aren't as good as they were in that first month. This is his 47th appearance of the season, and in 43 innings pitched, he has a .607 earned run average. We'll face the 6, 7, 8 hitters in the Cubs' order to begin this half inning. Ian Happ, Victor Caratini, and Daniel Descalzo. No ball, 1 strike pitch. Down low, counts 1-1. Also, you saw that graphic from Ian Happ about where he is in relation to the All-Star game. So, for those of you who don't know how MLB The Show works, I'll clarify how All-Stars are selected. It is as simple as their votes are in direct correlation with how well they're doing in the season. And if there were a way for me to have people vote on this channel on who should be an All-Star at what position, I would, but this game's mechanics do not work that way. But when you look at league leaders and results and standings update, you can get an idea of where each player will be in terms of where they are on All-Star voting, but it's in direct correlation with how well they're doing in the season. So if a player you want to make the All-Star game is doing well, most likely he'll be in it.
3-2.
And Eric Ledford, if you're still listening, that's a big hit to Paul Goldschmidt, who's who could possibly win the Triple Crown this year if he can get his home run total up. But I'm almost certain he'll be in the All-Star game and the starting first baseman, so I'm sure you're happy to hear that. 3-2 pitch. Outside, that's ball 4, a leadoff walk. Issued by J.P. Fireeisen, the first batter he faced in this game.
Now batting, catcher, Victor Caratini.
So with that, Victor Caratini will come to the plate. Caratini is 1 for 2. He had a double and drove in 2 runs. His average is now up to 210 this season, filling in for Wilson Contreras, who's on the injured list.
Nope.
It's down low, counts 1-0.
Count 1-0.
Brent Suter warming up in the bullpen now for the Brewers, a left-handed pitcher, the only one warming up. Oh my goodness. Absolutely crushed to right field. Third home run by the Cubs in this game. Man, that was hit longer than Schwarber's first home run. 452 feet out to right field. It's a 10-0 lead. Hit it off the scoreboard out and right. Holy mackerel. So 3 home runs by the Cubs in this game. 2 of which came from Kyle Schwarber, and also Victor Caratini has 4 RBIs. Schwarber has the other 6. (10-0) Cubs over the Brewers in inning number 5. Here's Daniel Descalso. 1-0's chopped foul, counts 1-1. On the ground right side, played by Smoke at first. He makes the play, that's out number 1. So Ian Happ started this inning off by getting on base via the walk, and then Victor Caratini hit a 2-run home run. So Descalso grounds out, 1 out, bottom of the 5th. Here's Jarrell Cotton. Cotton still throwing a shutout, and his team has given him a large cushion, so David Ross electing to keep him in the game. Swing and a miss, the count's 0-1. Speaking of David Ross, he's in his first year managing. Not only managing a new team, but managing in baseball in general. David Ross was a World Series champion with the Cubs in 2016, was a platoon catcher with Wilson Contreras. And he's managing a significant number of players that he won that World Championship with. Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, John Lester, and many, many others. This Cubs roster hasn't changed too much over the years. Cotton swung out and missed a dead pitch.
Now batting, third baseman.
Fireeisen gets a strikeout.
Ryan.
So with 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th, Chris Bryant will come up to the plate. Leadoff hitter for the Cubs is 1 for 3. Reached on a single and later scored when he got on base. Also, every pitcher that the Brewers have brought into the game, that's not a word. Every pitcher that the Brewers have brought into the game so far has given up a run. That ball fouled just behind the plate. Counts 0-2. Brett Anderson gave up 5 runs, 3 of which were unearned. Corbin Burns gave up 3 runs, and J.P. Fireeisen gave up 2 runs, both in this inning. And he gives up a 2-out hit to Chris Bryant. Bryant now with 2 hits, both of them singles. This one not as hard as the last. Hit it off the end of the bat, but got it past the infielders and out of the reach of the outfielders. So with that, Anthony Rizzo will come to the plate. Rizzo 1 for 2. And he launches that pitch to center field. Oh my, that is long gone. 472 feet. We have a new longest home run of this game. About 109 miles per hour off the bat as well. Ooh, that pitch left over the heart of the plate. Rizzo sent it right back where it came from and then some. Back up the middle and a long way out to center, and that's going to do it for Feyereisen. Brent Suter coming in, making his 50th appearance of the year. He comes in with a 417 earned run average. But JP Feyereisen came in, started pitching in the bottom of the 5th. Gave up a couple 2-run home runs. One to Victor Caratini and one to Anthony Rizzo. Can only get 2 outs, so he pitches less than a full inning, 2/3 of an inning. Now Brent Suter, the pitcher, facing Javier Baez. It's a 1-1 count. Swing and a miss, counts 1 and 2. Strike 3 caught over the inside edge, so Baez goes down on 3 pitches. Brent Suter gets a 3-pitch strikeout straight out of the bullpen. That doesn't stop the Cubs, though, from scoring 4 more runs. They lead it 12-0 going into the 6th. You're watching Major League Baseball's virtual network, brought to you by MLB The Show 20. I'm Nicholas Callis. Middle of the order due up for the Brewers in this half inning. Brian Braun, Keston Hiura, and Justin Smoke. This game's become quite lopsided, 12-0. The Cubs continuing to stay hot. In the last 3 series that they've played in, they swept the Red Sox, they swept the Reds, and they won 2 of 3 against the Yankees. This is game 1 of a series against their NL Central rivals, the Brewers. Right now the Cubs laying it on thick. Terrell Cotton still on the mound. Though he was a bit shaky in the first 2 innings he pitched in. He's been solid ever since. No runs given up yet, and his team behind him. Comes the 90th pitch of his outing. On the ground left side, played by Chris Bryant. Throws to Rizzo, that's out number 1. That's how the 6th inning begins. And with that, Keston Hiura will come to the plate. Hiura is 0 for 2 out of the number 5 spot, like so many other Brewers hitters. He's hitless. That's strike 1. Don't forget you're watching Major League Baseball's virtual network, brought to you by MLB The Show 20. My name is Nicholas Callis, and I'm not a pre-recorded voice. I am real, and this is live. That's ripped out to left center field, and Keston Hiura ends the shutout and puts the Brewers on the board. His 10th homer of the season makes this a 12-1 game. So among both teams now, that was the 5th home run hit. The Cubs have 4 home runs, but the Brewers add to the total with this one. 5th of the game. First for the Brewers, and the first run for the Brewers of the game. 428 feet out to left center field. And with that, David Ross comes out of the Cubs dugout. And he'll take the ball from Jarrell Cotton, who makes it into the 6th inning, but taken out after he got over 90 pitches on his pitch count. And if the lead holds up, and remember it's an 11-run lead, but if the lead holds up, he'll be in line for the win.
Now pitching for the Chicago Cubs.
Alec Mills will come out of the bullpen and pitch now. It's his 27th appearance of the season, and his earned run average is .340 entering play. So 1 out, top of the 6th,
Now batting,
and Justin Smoke
first baseman.
comes up to the plate, switch hitter batting from the left side. But as I was saying before the home run, I'm Nicholas Callis. This is Major League Baseball's virtual network, brought to you by MLB The Show 20, and I'm live. This is real, like I'm a real person, not just a pre-recording, so feel free to enter the live chat. If you want a shout-out, I'll give you one of those. If you also want to start a discussion with other members who are watching this game,
Count 1-1.
or if you want to start a discussion with me, feel free to do so. That is encouraged as long as we keep things respectful and family-friendly. 1 ball, 1 strike count on Mills. That's strike 2. Also, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want notifications on when we go live and when we upload videos. And you can also follow us on Twitter at VirtualMLB is the handle. Down low, counts 2-2. Smoke struck out in both at-bats that he's had so far. Swing and a miss. There's the hat trick for Justin Smoke. Struck out 3 times. That's Mills' first strikeout of the game.
Now batting, catcher, Omar Narvaez.
Yeah, just went up the ladder too far. It was a well-placed high pitch, too. Not sure that he would have gotten the call, but it was close to the top of the zone. So now 2 outs, top of the 6th, and here's Omar Narvaez.
Ball 1, no strike.
Narvaez 0 for 2. He popped out and grounded out in this one. One ball, no strike count. On the ground, right side, and foul. Counts 1-1. In the air toward left center field. Toward the wall. Just off the wall. And Navarro is on his way to second. And he's into second with a 2-out double.
The bat,
It's his 9th double of the season.
Orlando Arcia.
That'll bring up Orlando Arcia. 0 for 1. He reached base once, though, on a walk back in inning number 2. And the first hit Alex Mills gave up his appearance. This is the 3rd batter he's facing. Jarrell Cotton started this inning. Got it out, but then gave up a home run to Keston Hiura, which caused David Ross to take him out of the game. Grounded left side. There's Bryant. Throws to Rizzo. Out at first is Arcia. That ends the top of the 6th inning. So the Brewers get a run on a Keston Hiura solo home run, but it's still a mountain to climb for them. 12-1, the Cubs lead it, going to the bottom of the 6th. You're watching Major League Baseball's virtual network, brought to you by MLB The Show 20. I'm Nicholas Callis, and that is Kyle Schwarber. That was one of 2 3-run home runs he hit in this game. He hit one in the first, and this one was the one he hit out in the 4th. He'll lead off this half inning, 4, 5, 6 hitters, middle of the order, due up for the Cubs. Kyle Schwarber, Steven Souza Jr., and Ian Happ. Brent Suter still on the mound. He came in and got the final out of the bottom of the 5th.
1-1.
J.P. Fireeisen came in to start the 5th inning, but struggled immensely. Gave up a couple 2-run home runs to the Cubs. And got taken out by Craig Counsell. Not a great day for the Brewers pitching staff. Of those 12 overall runs, though, 10 of them were earned. That's Sogard making the catch. The infield had Schwarber shifted, so that's why Sogard's making the play in that location.
Now batting, right fielder.
One out, bottom of the sixth. That'll bring up Steven Souza Jr.
Jr.
But Orlando Arcia made an error in the third inning with 2 outs, which means that if that out had been recorded, the inning would have been over, so Anderson wouldn't have been charged with,
Count 1-0.
or wasn't charged with, the 2 runs that scored that followed. But with the runner on first, a batter reached on an error, and then Victor Caratini hit a double that scored both those runs, but Anderson only charged, well, wasn't charged with any of the runs that he gave up. Of the 2, he wasn't charged with either of them. So Anderson gave up 3 earned runs in his start. Corbin Burns was responsible for most of the earned runs, though. Feyereisen gave up 4 earned runs.
2 balls, 1 strike.
And Brent Suter on the mound just came in last half inning to get the final out. No earned runs on his line score yet. Souza Jr. hits that into the air out towards center field. Lorenzo Cain has a play. He makes it. And that's out number 2.
The center fielder, number 8, Ian Happ.
So with 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th inning, that'll bring up Ian Happ, who's 0 for 2, reached base once on a walk. Most Cubs hitters in this game have at least reached base. Not that every one of them has a hit, but have at least gotten on in some way. Most of them. That's grounded to the right side. Past Hura at second. It's a 2-out single for the Cubs.
Now batting, catcher, Victor Caratini.
So with 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th, that'll bring up Victor Caratini. Driven in 4 runs in this game. 2 of which were on a 2-run homer he hit in his last at bat. His average has been bumped up to 216, and that home run he hit was his 6th of the season. Switch hitter batting from the right side of the plate. 1-0 pitch. That's hit high out to left field, but that'll find the seats. Counts even 1-1. Caratini acquired from the Braves around 2014. Hasn't played much with the Cubs, though, up until recent years. It's because the Cubs called up Wilson Contreras. And they had David Ross as a veteran catcher as well for a few seasons. One-two pitch. Down low, counts 2-2. Two ball, 2 strike pitch on Caratini. That's inside, counts full 3-2. Rip to left. That ball is way out of here. Victor Caratini is homered from both sides of the plate. That's his second 2-run home run of the game. He now has 6 RBIs. And it is 14-1. The Cubs lead it. Man. Well, if you like offense, this is the kind of game that you want to watch.
Now batting.
That's the 5th home run hit by a Cubs player in this game. The 6th among both teams. It's upstairs, counts 2-0. Scalzo's played for a few teams in his career. The Cardinals, the Rockies, the Diamondbacks, now playing for the Cubs. Scalzo was one of the critical pieces of the infield that the Cardinals had when they won the World Series in 2011 and when they made it to the World Series in 2013. Excels at getting on base, and he's also a versatile and solid infield defender. Counts 2-2. Two ball, two strike pitch. Popped into the air out toward the left side of the infield. Garcia makes the catch, and that ends the sixth inning, but the Cubs refuse to cut their offense out of this game. Another two-run home run was hit by Victor Caratini, and after 6 full innings, the Cubs lead the Brewers 14-1.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention.
Pinch hitter coming up for the Brewers as the 7th inning begins. It's Brock Holt. 9-1-2 hitters due up for the Brewers in this half inning. So Brock Holt will lead off as a pinch hitter. Then it'll go back to the top for Eric Sogard and then Lorenzo Cain. Strike one called on Brock Holt. Spent most of his career with the Boston Red Sox. But this season went into free agency. The Red Sox did not sign him back, so he signed a deal with the Brewers and has been a consistent bench player throughout most of the year.
One ball, one strike.
But is versatile and can play almost any position, infield or outfield. One ball, one strike pitch. Behind the plate. That's foul. The count now 1-2. When Hero was injured, Holt got to start at second base. So he's had some consistent playing time, though. When Hero came back, Holt went back to his bench role, and he strikes out there coming off the bench. Alec Mills with 2 strikeouts now.
The third baseman, number 7, Eric.
That'll bring up the top of the order for the Brewers again. Eric Sogard comes to the plate. Sogard 1 for 3. He doubled in the 5th inning. Takes outside, ball 1. You're watching Major League Baseball's virtual network brought to you by MLB The Show 20. I'm Nicholas Callis. This is one of 3 guaranteed games we have on this channel today. Some other games coming up later on. The Marlins and the Athletics will be playing each other at 7:05 Eastern Time. And then later on will be a game featuring a Western team. That's why it's so late. But the Reds and Dodgers will be playing each other at 9:10 Eastern Time. And I say that late because we're on the East Coast, but if you're on the West Coast, that's middle of the day time. That's towards center field. Back goes Happ, and he's able to make the catch. There are 2 outs now in the top of the 7th inning, and that'll bring up the number 2 hitter, Lorenzo Cain. One of the bright spots for a Brewers team that has struggled offensively. Cain 2 for 3. He tripled back in the 1st inning, also singled in this one, and was robbed of a hit in his last at bat. Kyle Schwarber made a spectacular diving play. It's a 1-0 count. Inside counts 2-0. On the ground toward the middle. Played by Baez. Throws to Rizzo, and they get Cain out. Cain robbed of another hit by a finesse play by Javier Baez at short. And as we go to the bottom of the 7th, the Cubs lead the Brewers. It's 14-1. Here comes Alex Claudio out of the bullpen, and he'll pitch in the bottom of the 7th inning, making his 50th appearance of the season. Also has an ERA of 4.75. Josh Hader also warming up now in the bullpen as Alec Mills comes to the plate. 9-1-2 hitters due up for the Cubs in this half inning, so it'll be Mills, then back to the top for Chris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo. Mills came out of the bullpen in the 6th inning. Got the final 2 outs of the 6th and then
Ball one, no strikes.
pitched all of the 7th. Replaced Jarrell Cotton, the starter, so it seems David Ross might be looking to give the bullpen, most of the bullpen, a day off with such a large lead at this point. But Mills batting here and nobody warming up in the Cubs bullpen at this moment. Hits that out to center and Lorenzo Cain makes the catch. That's out number 1.
Up next for the Cubs, the third baseman, Chris Bryant.
So 1 out, back to the top of the order. Chris Bryant up to the plate. Bryant 2 for 4, had a couple singles. Also scored a couple times. That's fouled off. The count's 0-1 to a former Rookie of the Year and Most Valuable Player in the National League. Bryant, a third baseman, though he's versatile, can also play first and all outfield positions. He'll be hitting free agency soon, so maybe of some interest to what position Bryant could play if he signed with another team, just because he's so versatile. It's outside, counts 2-1. Though I'm certain he is most comfortable playing third base, so we'll have to see when the time comes along where he'll sign and where he'll play. That's fouled off, counts even 2-2. Alex Claudio is a former Texas Ranger, pitching for the Brewers in what is somewhat of an elite bullpen. Claudio's been a consistent player. He was a consistent reliever with the Rangers. He's putting up consistent numbers also with the Brewers. Joins the likes of Josh Hader and Corey Knebel in the bullpen. On the ground, and the shift helps out the Brewers, but Smoke's fielding does not. Smoke was in perfect position to field that ground ball, but the flip to Claudio went awry. That's another error committed by the Brewers. That's 2 now on the day. And with that, Anthony Rizzo will come to the plate. The runner on first and 1 out. Rizzo 2 for 3. Had a home run and singled, but both of his RBIs were on the home run. Oh, the Brewers struggling, not only from a pitcher standpoint, but the fielders haven't provided much support. A couple routine plays botched. On strike 1 on Rizzo. No ball, 1 strike pitch. On the ground foul. Counts 0-2. Strike 3 on a check swing. It's out number 2.
The batter, number 9, shortstop, Javier Baez.
So now 2 outs on the bottom of the 7th. Javier Baez up to the plate with Chris Bryant on first base. Alec Mills flew out to center field to start off this half inning, and then Chris Bryant reached on an error by Justin Smoke. Anthony Rizzo just struck out. Now an 0-1 count on Baez.
1-1.
That pitch misses, counts 1-1. Baez, the cover athlete of this very game, MLB The Show 20. He was rated pretty well, too, an 86 in Dynasty and a 93 in local modes. Softly hit to right. That's going to fall in front of Yelich. It's a 2-out single for Javier Baez.
Now batting, left fielder, Kyle Warburg.
Well, the Cubs have taken advantage of errors that the Brewers have committed in this game. The error by Orlando Arcia earlier on led to Victor Caratini hitting an RBI double with 2 outs.
0-1 the count.
I was back in the 3rd inning. And now Bryant was able to reach on an error. Baez singled him to second. Now Schwarber, who has 6 of the 14 runs scored, comes up to the plate. Schwarber with 6 runs batted in total in this game on 2 3-run home runs. He falls behind quickly 0-2. Toward the middle, played by Arcia. Flips to Hira covering second, and that ends the 7th inning. The Cubs, despite getting 2 runners on, fail to score in the 7th, and after 7 full innings, it's the Cubs 14 and the Brewers 1. You're watching Major League Baseball's virtual network, brought to you by MLB The Show 20. I'm Nicholas Callis. Part of the order coming up for the Brewers: Christian Yelich, Ryan Braun, and Keston Hiura. That's strike 1 over the middle of the plate. Yelich 0 for 3, hasn't done much to contribute, although just one player has contributed to the offense so far, or a couple actually. Lorenzo Cain has a couple hits, and Keston Hiura hit a solo home run to break up the shutout.
Outside, that's a ball.
Alec Mills still on the mound. He came in with 1 out in the 6th inning. Got out of that inning scoreless, pitched a scoreless 7th, and now he's here in the 8th. 1 ball, 1 strike pitch. Too high and too far outside. Counts 2-1. Mills, the long relief pitcher on the Cubs. The Cubs is in no need of using the back end of their bullpen today, which might give them an advantage by giving them a day off. It's a 13-run game late. Three-one pitch. Out towards center field against the shift. That's going to split the gap perfectly. That'll one-hop the wall. Happ plays it and gets it in to Baez. That's a leadoff double for Christian Yelich, his first hit of the game. Well, the shift doesn't help the Cubs out there. It leaves that left center field gap vulnerable. So Yelich aboard at second. That'll bring up Ryan Braun. On the ground left side. Bryant can't make the play, and Baez didn't make an effort. That's into left field. Back-to-back hits for the Brewers start the 8th inning.
Up next for Milwaukee, the second baseman, Keston Hiura.
Nobody out, top of the 8th inning. Keston Hiura up to the plate. His only hit was a solo home run. Credited for the only Brewers run to this point in the game. It was his 10th home run of the season. He's been a consistent run producer ever since coming off the injured list, and ever since he's been in Major League Baseball, for that matter. Former first-round draft pick of the Brewers in 2017. Made his debut last season.
1 ball, 1 strike.
And has been the primary choice to play second base since he's been eligible to play in Major League Baseball. One ball, 1 strike pitch. Outside, counts 2-1. Alec Mills, since coming into the game, has shut out the Cubs. But in this inning has started with some danger. Out towards center field, softly hit. Happ running after it. That'll fall in front of him. Happ gets it into second. They get the force at second. Ryan Braun's out. He didn't want to venture too far off first base, just in case Happ caught that ball.
Up next for Milwaukee, the first
But Happ makes the play at second. That'll go down as an RBI fielder's choice for Hiura. He doesn't get credited with a single. But Yelich does score from third base. So 1 out, top of the 8th. Here on first base, Justin Smoke comes up to the plate. He's 0 for 3. Switch hitter batting from the left side.
Nope.
Counts 1-0, but just to go over the standings in the National League Central again, the Cardinals are in first place with a 48-36 record. The Cubs are 5 games back of that in second with a 43-41 record. The Brewers in third with a 39-43 record, 8 games back. Then you have the Reds, who are 34-50, 14 games back, and the Pirates are 31-52, 16.5 games back. It's been a one-team division
21.
for most of May and most of June, but the Cubs have gotten hot. They've won 8 of their last 10 games. They're the first team since early April in the National League Central to have a winning percentage over 500. The Cardinals have struggled recently for their standards. They've lost 4 of their last 10. They're on a 3-game losing streak. They'll be starting a series with the Nationals soon, and one of the games in that series will be covered tomorrow here on Major League Baseball's virtual network. Got out to left field. Schwarber on the warning track makes the catch. Smoke now 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts, but
Now batting.
avoids the golden sombrero
Narvaez.
by flying out there. So 2 outs, top of the 8th. Hero still on first, and Omar Narvaez comes up to the plate. That's ball 1 on Narvaez, who's 1 for 3. Narvaez, former catcher with the Chicago White Sox and the Seattle Mariners. One ball, no strike pitch. Down low, counts 2-0.
No strike.
Here comes the 2-0 pitch from Mills. Swing and a miss right over the middle of the plate.
2 balls, 1 strike.
Dangerous pitch, but Mills gets away with it. The count's 2-1. Terrell Cotton responsible for one of the 2 Brewers runs given up. Mills responsible for the other. Mills just the second pitcher out of the bullpen for the Cubs in this game, as that's rocked to right off the right field wall. Souza Jr. relays it in quickly. The throw's offline, but Hura stays at third base. Narvaez at second. That's his 10th double of the season. Another mistake pitch, but Narvaez didn't miss that one. Most other ballparks, that would have been a home run, but because the corners are deep at Wrigley, that stays in the park. But with that, Kyle Ryan will come out of the bullpen. Left-handed pitcher making his 46th appearance of the season and enters play with a .469 earned run average. Counts 0-1 now on Orlando Arcia, who's 0 for 2. Reached base once on a walk back in the second inning, but has gone 0 for 2 in his most recent at-bats. Lopsided game, 14-2. The Cubs on top. Arcia quickly down to the count. No balls and 2 strikes. Down low, counts 1-2. The Cubs have 14 runs, 6 RBIs for Victor Caratini and 6 RBIs for Kyle Schwarber. Anthony Rizzo responsible for the other 2. The Cubs putting on quite the show in front of their home crowd at Wrigley Field. 3-2 is the count. So it's a 3-ball, 2-strike count with 2 outs in the top of the 8th against Arcia. 2 runners in scoring position. Here on third and Navarro's on second. That's out to right field. Catch made by Steven Souza Jr. And that ends the top of the 8th inning. So the Brewers score 1 run, but leave a couple runners in scoring position going to the bottom of the 8th. The Cubs lead it 14-2. You're watching Major League Baseball's virtual network, brought to you by MLB The Show 20. I'm Nicholas Callis. 5, 6, 7 hitters due up in the Cubs' order to begin this half inning. Steven Souza Jr., Ian Happ, and Victor Caratini. And Eric, that is interesting you mentioned that. Well, the Red Sox had turned their season around after going 3-0 against the Yankees in the ALCS. They won 4 in a row. And then swept the Cardinals in that 2004 World Series. But that is interesting to think about. The Red Sox have just been dominating the Cardinals. I think of the 2013 World Series as well. That wasn't dominated. It was a close series that ended in 6 games. I haven't followed the Cardinals enough to verify that, but I'll take your word for it. I'd believe it. 1-ball, 2-strike pitch. Swing and a miss. Souza Jr. strikes out. Navarro will complete the strikeout, throws to Smoke. That's out number 1 in the bottom of the 8th, and that'll bring up Ian Happ, who has scored 3 times. He's walked a couple times and also reached on a single. Swing and a miss, the count's 0-1. That pitch misses. The count's 1-1. Ian Happ, a switch hitter, batting from the right side. Claudio came out of the bullpen last inning, and now is pitching here in the 8th. Ground ball left side, played by Sogart. Throws to Smoke. That's out number 2.
Now batting, catcher, Victor Caratini.
So 2 outs, bottom of the 8th inning, and Victor Caratini will come to the plate. He's 3 for 4. And each of his hits have resulted in runs scored. He hit 2 two-run home runs in this game. And also that double he hit drove across 2. Up the middle, played by Arcia. Throws to Smoke. That's in time. And the 8th inning has come to an end. So no runs on no hits and nobody left on base for the Cubs. Last chance for the Brewers. They trail by 12.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please.
You're watching Major League Baseball's virtual network, brought to you by MLB The Show 20. I'm Nicholas Callis. 9-1-2 hitters due up for the Brewers, and the leadoff hitter will be a pinch hitter. It's Ben Gamble. Third pinch hitter of the game for the Brewers, and both Avisail Garcia and Brock Holt, who pinch hit before, got out. Ben Gamble, a former New York Yankee and Seattle Mariner. Most known for his defense, that's why he's on the Brewers. As a defensive outfield replacement for when the Brewers are leading late in games and want to sacrifice offense for a better defensive outlook. Of course, this is not one of those games. So Gamble just getting a chance to play in a lopsided game. The Brewers trailing by 12 in the last inning of regulation. Kyle Ryan still on the mound for the Cubs. And Gamble's ahead 3-1. Three-one pitch. Down the line and foul. The count full 3-2. Here's Kyle Ryan's pitch. Toward the left side and played in the air by Javier Baez. It was close to the ground. He made the catch. So Gamble's out. So the leadoff hitter of the half inning for the Brewers gets out, and that'll bring up the top of the order, Eric Sogard to bat. Sogard is 1 for 4. He hit a double in the 5th inning. Just to make this clear, too, Kyle Ryan not in a save situation. Such a lopsided game, and he came in the 8th. So there's no scenario where he could earn a save unless the Brewers were to make a comeback. Left side and foul, the count 2-1. Sogard, formerly a part of the Oakland Athletics, also spent some time with the Tampa Bay Rays, but signed in the offseason with the Brewers. And he's played a few infield positions with them, been a second baseman and a third baseman, but at this point in the season, he's been more consistently at third. As he takes inside, and the count's full 3-2. Lorenzo Cain on deck. Toward the pitcher's mound, Ryan comes off the mound, throws to Anthony Rizzo. Sogard's out at first. There are now 2 outs in the top of the 9th inning. The Brewers have 1 out left to work with. So Cain comes up to the plate, 2 for 4, with a triple and a single. Facing Kyle Ryan with 2 outs in the top of the 9th. That's ball 1. It misses low.
Count 1-0.
Ryan had run the count full to both pitchers he's faced in this half inning, but got both of them out. Down low, counts 2-0.
2-0.
Lorenzo Cain, former World Series champion with the Kansas City Royals, also a Gold Glove Award winner for center fielders.
2 balls, 1 strike.
Crowd not overly emphatic about this potential final out, just because it's such a lopsided game, but the Cubs offense put on a show in this one and is in position to earn a win in Game 1 of this series. 2 ball, 2 strike count. That's fouled off, so this game extended a bit longer. 2 ball, 2 strike count. Kyle Ryan comes set. Swing and a miss. This game has come to a conclusion. The Cubs beat the Brewers in this NL Central matchup 14-2. They take Game 1 of the series. And the Cubs continue to keep pace with the Cardinals at the very least. Depending on how the Cardinals do later on could determine how much closer the Cubs get. But the NL Central now becoming a 2-team race with the Cardinals and Cubs toward the top. There's the final line score, and I'll break down exactly how those runs scored. There are 3 players that are responsible for all those runs, though, that the Cubs scored. Victor Caratini gets player of the game, though it could have easily gone to Kyle Schwarber. And if you look at their official line scores in the notable player section on the right of your screen there, you can see exactly why each of them could have gotten player of the game. But Victor Caratini went 3 for 5. He hit 2 two-run home runs and also hit a 2-run double. Caratini was responsible for 6 RBIs for the Cubs in this one. Kyle Schwarber, both of his hits were 3-run home runs, which gave him 6 runs batted in. And Anthony Rizzo tallied 2 RBIs with a 2-run home run that he hit. So those 3 players responsible for all 14 runs that the Cubs scored in this game. Very simply, Jarrell Cotton got the win, pitched 5 1/3 innings, gave up 1 earned run on 5 hits. Got the winning decision. Brett Anderson got the loss. Pitched 2 2/3 innings, gave up 5 earned runs on 4 hits. Although I'd contest that he gave up just 3 earned runs, but the game charges him with 5, which is okay. But not much more to summarize about this one. The final score 14-2. The Cubs beat the Brewers in this NL Central matchup. This has been a presentation of Major League Baseball's virtual network. This game brought to you by MLB The Show 20. I'm Nicholas Callis saying so long from Wrigley Field. And don't forget, we have 2 more games being featured today. The Marlins will be playing the Athletics at 7:05 Eastern Time, and the Reds will be playing the Dodgers at 9:10 Eastern Time. But again, I'm Nicholas Callis. So long from Wrigley Field. The final score, the Chicago Cubs 14, the Milwaukee Brewers 2.